Hi, this is John from Chicago area. I got a new quad. It's a Tareq 130, and I got it from Banggood at their anniversary sale. I think I paid about $120 for it. It's really a pretty cool small quad. All you need to do is add a receiver. I have a FlySky Receiver, one of the new micro ones, with the small antenna. I've tried two of these, and I haven't done a range test, but I know I get over 100 meters on it. Hopefully maybe 150, maybe even 200 meters, but I need to do a range test to see. And they're coming out with a new one of these. FlySky is. This is not built by FlySky. Banggood, I think, puts this together. But the new FlySky one has an antenna. It's about this size, and it'll get a 300 meter range. So if you're going to buy one, I'd hold off another couple weeks and get the newest one. But this is the quad. It's quite small. All you have to do is mount the receiver in it, and they give you, along with the quad, they give you the two sets of propellers, and they give you the various cables. I guess there's a port on there, so you could use PWM with one of these, but a lot of wiring, so I'm just going to, they give you a cable for PPM, and this is what I'll use. It could also be used for S-Bus, but it looks like this wiring, it goes in for PPM. There's 3 slots in the back. I don't know if you could see this, it's probably too far, but it'd be the center slot would be PPM. So for my FlySky, that's what I'd be using. I need to cut this connector off since I don't have pins on something this small, and just solder the 3 wires direct. The white control wire goes in the corner, then I think it's red and then black, or no, it's black and then red. So white, black, and red right on that corner. So I'm going to go offline here and solder those on, and I could plug that in and connect it to the computer, get the Cleanflight running on it, and make sure it's set up correctly. Then I'll go out and do a quick flight. Okay, I thought you'd want to see a close-up of this, so I put the plug in the center space there under the flight control board, and again, that's the receiver. It's not much bigger than a thumbnail, with a little copper antenna wire coming off the back. Before I put the heat shrink on, there's a LED light on here to see if it binds, so I thought I'd plug it in, bind it, and then go ahead and put the heat shrink, and then pack everything in there and get it ready for flight. And well, we got it apart here. You could see the FPV transmitter and the antenna for that. I almost like this little single antenna. The cloverleaf, or the the cloverleaf type antennas, they tend to get broken up pretty good. So I'm thinking this might be a little bit durable. And I heard you could still, with the 300 milliamp transmitter, you should get fairly good range. There's the camera. Yeah. So, and the motors are, well, they just say MT, but I think they're 1104, and they're 4000 kV. Yeah, I don't know if you could read that, but so it's a small unit. It's brushless, so the big rage now is to go to the brushed ones, but these motors should be a lot better. The thing is, I think it'll have a little bit too much power to really fly it inside, unless you could make some, might be able to make some prop guards for it, but I think it's probably an outside flyer. It's kind of in between the two, but if you have a big enough house or something, you might be able to fly it inside, but I think it's going to be pretty fast. The next step is to create a model on your transmitter, and to add the Tareq 130, and then to bind it. Once you add the model, you'll need to set it up. For the RX setup, you put AFHDS2A, you turn that to off, and that'll set up PPM. And then the other thing you need to set up on the radio transmitter is your auxiliary channels 5 and 6. I set channel 5 to switch C and channel 6 to switch D. That gives you a three-way toggle for your mode, and then you could have your channel 6 either as to arm it, or you could use it for buzzer, some additional functions for buzzer. Then after that, you need to bind your transmitter. You have a bind button that you push to hold down, and you turn your radio transmitter on, and then you plug the battery in and to the quad, and it should bind. It's a pretty simple operation. There's no bind button on this particular receiver that I have to push. It just does it automatically. One of the easiest ones I've had. Then after it's bound, then you go into Cleanflight, which you see on this screen here. What you do is you could set up, you could calibrate your, it's a little bit crooked, but it's pretty level, but I'll calibrate the accelerometer. Okay, so that's set up. Then let's go to the next tab, which is ports. You can go to port, and it's set up in the original configuration. It's set up, I think, for S-Bus. So the only thing you need to change is under RX. You have to turn RX off for serial RX, the second one on alert 2. Or you turn that off for PPM. So I've made these changes already. Okay, the next one would be configurations. And after you do something on each screen, you need to push the save and reboot button to save it, otherwise it doesn't keep it. So the only thing I've done on this, I kept everything as the defaults, except for I put PPM in, RX PPM, you check that. And the other one is the Spectrum 1024. You check that, and then again you'd hit your save and reboot. Failsafe, the next tab, I left it as is. It's going to land. If you want it to be, it's going to run for a few seconds after it loses communication, but you could, a lot of people just put that on drop. And then the PID tuning, these are all your standard PIDs. I think they work pretty good from what I understand. Then the next tab is receivers. I need to plug it in to show that it works, but I've tested it out and it works. Next one is modes. I didn't put the arm on that channel 6, but instead I just did the bare minimum. I set the angle mode up as the upper position. Then the middle position there is horizontal mode, and then the bottom position 3 on the transmitter, that's acro mode, which is rate mode. So that's, let's see, then next ones would be motors. I've already tested the motors and they work. And I got the props on right now, so I didn't want to take them off again, but this would be your motor tabs. You should go in and test the motors with the props off to make sure they all are spinning the correct way, which they were, and they all turn on at the same throttle setting. And let's see what else we have here. I think that's it. So basically you just go through there and save them, and you should be set to go. Next step would be to go out and fly it. Okay, let's weigh the quad here. The 130, it weighs 88 grams. And I put the propellers on. It also had, I put the zip tie, or the zip tie with a heat shrink on it to keep that antenna out of the way. That should work nicely. Let's see what the battery weighs. This is 850 milliamp hour battery, where they recommend a 450. So this is 73 grams, so I would think you'd be a little over half of that, maybe 40 grams on a 450 battery. So let's see, let's weigh them both. You got the 88 and the so we're up to 161 grams total. Bring it back. Let's look at this. Pretty good yaw. Orange propellers on the back, green ones on the front, like brake lights, orange. Green headlights. Okay. Standard stock settings. $850 milliamp battery, a little bigger than what they call for, twice as big. They call for a 450. See, let's just try a little punch test here. Okay. It's easy to lose orientation with this little 130. This is the Tareq 130. First flight, maiden flight. I think I heard a voltage alarm when I accelerated. But it just don't sound as smooth, the motors. Whoa. The reason the quad crashed is the wire going from the motor to the ESC on motor 2 broke. On my second flight, it also crashed. It was about 30 feet up, and I had another wire come off. This is for motor number 4, the wire going from the power distribution board to the ESC. I soldered that up, and now I'm on my third flight. Everything seems to be going good. Just to give you a couple pros and cons, I think on the pro side for these small quads, the Tareq 130, they fly great right out of the box. You just need to put the receiver for the radio in it, and you're up and running. You don't have to build it, although you do have to have knowledge to fix it, because there will probably be some wires and different things that need to be repaired. Besides flying great, it's small and lightweight. It's one of the lightest brush quads that I've ever had, and I like how you could crash it and nothing happens. It doesn't break the propellers. The FPV antenna stays intact. It just works good. It's a good design. A lot of people are just loving this. It also, let's see, competes with the small brushless quads that's the rage right now. For outdoor flying, it flies better than them. It has enough power to pull out of problems. So it's a great quad, and I think it holds up better than what the brushless ones hold up. They have the FPV antenna. They bend over and break. So this is a more durable quad. It's faster and more maneuverable, or as maneuverable as the brushless ones. The other thing that I like is it has long flight times. I'm getting 10 minutes, but that's with a 850 milliamp hour battery. I think if I had a 450 milliamp battery, I would still get 5 or 6 minutes of flight. So it has long flight times. I think for winter I might try it indoors. I've tried it with a 2S battery to drop the power a little bit, and it seems to fly great with the 2S battery. If I could figure out some prop guards for it, I might be able to fly it indoors, but I'm probably asking for it to do too much. I think a brushless one might be better for that. On the con side, I had to repair 2 wires, and the motors or the bearings in there are noisier than my 1306 and 1406 motors. So it's a little on the noisy side. I don't know what's causing that. It's also slower than my other brushless quads. I have a 130 that I just put together, and it has 1406 motors, I think, at 3800 kV, and it just doesn't have the speed as that quad, although this quad is 100 grams lighter, and I like them both. Other things is it's probably on the downside or con, it's probably too big to fly in the house in the wintertime. I think I might have to fly my brushless quads for FPV. So that's my review. I hope to do another review comparing the another 130 to this that has bigger motors on it, have the 1406 motors. So stay tuned. Hopefully in a couple weeks I'll do a comparison between the two. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please put them down below. Thank you.